Can hear okay. We'll come to order here. First, I'd like to thank all the folks behind who have been participating in this endeavor that we've going to unveil today. First, I want to thank from the Senate side, Senator Jeff Brandes, obviously Chairman Chris Spowls. This has been a vision, and putting this work product together was with him and the members of the Judiciary Committee, Representative Ramon Alexander from here in Tallahassee. We also have two great folks recognized nationally in criminal justice reform. Obviously, we have Mark Holden, who works nationwide pushing forward criminal justice reforms. We also have Amy Bach, a renowned expert in the criminal justice area. Also with Mark Holden is Jenny Kim, who's worked with our staff, and we've had numerous conversations with them throughout the last year on trying to come up with this proposal. Here's what I'd say. What we have said from day one, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in accountability, what we have said is we want to be disruptive, and we want to go in and throw back the curtains, lift the veil in every single area, and transform that area. This criminal justice reform is doing exactly that. We are throwing back the curtains. We're pushing against all those institutional biases that you see all the time in all these different areas and all the competing factions. And what we have done is created the #1 in the nation, second to none, the most transparent and accountable data collection system of any state in the entire United States of America. What this will do moving forward will allow us to have clear answers, clear understanding, and clear data on how to move forward in creating the best criminal justice system in America. And as has been said in the past, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. What this is the beginning of making sure that we have the potential to have justice everywhere. If it doesn't, we know it where it will not exist, because the data will speak clearly to what is true and what is just. So with that, I want to take a few seconds and say, a year ago, I sat down and with Chairman Spowls, how do we transform criminal justice? How do we just turn the whole thing upside down and come up with a system that leads us to this outcome? And I cannot tell you the great work that Chairman Spowls and his committee members have done. It's a fantastic product, and with that, I give you Chairman Chris Spowls.
Thank you, Speaker Corcoran. You know, about a year ago when we spoke about what we wanted to do in criminal justice, it all centered around one really large topic, which is we don't have enough information. The direction from Speaker Corcoran was, let's have the most robust data collection and reporting to the public of anywhere else in America. So we reached out to the experts across the country, folks like Amy Bach from Measures for Justice, folks like Jenny Kim and Mark Holden from Freedom Partners, folks like our friend Len from Pew, and said, how do we do this? And the product that you've seen filed by the committee members standing behind me from the Judiciary Committee is that. It will be the most robust data collection in criminal justice. As you can see from the prop that we have up, we have criminal justice data in our state. It is many different places, so it might as well be at times nowhere. When we talk about things like recidivism, things that are important about criminal justice policy, a lot of times we're talking about it with bad information or old information or stale information. This allows us to do it in a timely fashion, to have it available so that we're all playing off of the same sheet of music, so that it's available to the public, whether it's folks like Pew or Measures for Justice or Right on Crime or Freedom Partners to study it in the marketplace, to give us our opinion, whether it's for folks in the media and the press to write about trends that they see in criminal justice. They will be able to do that without a licensing agreement, completely open and free to the public. This allows us to be transparent and to be leaders in criminal justice reform. And with that, I want to turn it over to one of our greatest partners in the Senate on this topic. Senator Brandes and I have talked for a long time about open data and how it can help us transform our policy decisions in judiciary and in criminal justice. Senator Brandes, we're really happy you're here.
It's a new day in Florida on criminal justice. It truly is. Imagine us having this conversation just a couple of years ago. But what you're seeing around the country is that red states are leading in criminal justice reform. And that we're excited that Florida is going to lead in the data side of criminal justice reform. This is going to drive the conversation for years to come around the country. This now with this data package, will be the gold standard for transparency, for collection, and for information for us, for decision makers to lead on for years to come. I'm excited, and we're just getting started. You're going to see out of this legislature this year ideas that are bold, ideas that whose time has come, and we are going to work day in and day out until the end of session to make sure that Floridians can be proud of their criminal justice system, and it's working for them, and it's working with them, and providing this information is the first step. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I want to hear from Amy Bach from Measures for Justice. A little around the time that Speaker Corcoran and I had that conversation, I received a phone call from State Attorney Cervone, who's the state attorney in the Gainesville area, and he said you have to talk to these folks at Measures for Justice about the work that they are doing. It is because of that conversation that we've worked with Amy and her team at Measures for Justice to come up with the product you have here today. Amy, thanks for being here.
This is a historic moment. Today, Florida puts itself on the path to become the nation's foremost leader on criminal justice data transparency. By requiring access to better data, this bill will be the catalyst that enables communities to come together around evidence-based reform, that brings people together and positive change to every county in the state. Now, justice in Florida and throughout the United States happens on the county level. In Florida, it happens in 67 separate county criminal justice systems that have, to date, been flying blind, at least until now. Now, these counties will be able to share with each other the most basic facts about how they process criminal justice cases. All these data will at last be available to everyone and housed in one place so that we can finally begin to answer basic questions. Who's in jail? For what crimes? For how long? Are people in jail mostly pretrial defendants? And who's getting released on recognizance? Which defendants are sentenced to probation and which are convicted again within 3 years? At bottom, this bill makes it possible to collect the data we need to answer the most fundamental question of all. How are we doing? With so many lives at stake, we've got to get this right. We need to know how the system is doing before we can make good decisions about improvement. Now today, Florida is getting it right. Today, the state has become the national leader in criminal justice data collection and transparency. And with this bill, it sets the standard for how states nationwide can close the criminal justice data gap. It's a beacon for the entire country that says it's time to get our criminal justice data in order. Thank you.
Mark Holden is the chairman of the Freedom Partners, and Mr. Holden and his team, particularly Jenny Kim, have worked tirelessly with us as they've been leaders across the country in not only criminal justice reform, but open data and transparency around criminal justice. We asked them to assist us in this project to make sure that we could learn from what other folks were doing across the country and make sure that when Florida started this project, not only did we get it right, but that we were the leaders in America. Mr. Holden, thanks for being here.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. I want to thank, first of all, Senator Brandes, Chairman Spowls, and Speaker Corcoran for advancing this bill. This is a great day for public safety in Florida. It's the beginning of a new beginning for all of the state in criminal justice reform. I also want to thank our amazing coalition partners. We have Right on Crime, the Charles Koch Institute, Measures for Justice, and the James Madison Institute. Great partners. Couldn't do it without them. So through this bill, Florida is demonstrating its willingness and ability to become a leader in smart and safe criminal justice reform. We cannot begin to address what may need to be addressed in Florida unless we understand what is going on through the data. The data will drive all decisions. This bill will help Florida with its criminal justice system. It's operating in a way that makes the public safer, provides for equal justice under the law, and provides for second chances for people who are incarcerated but want a second chance. It'll make everybody safer and your society better. Now, under the current system, as I understand it, it's difficult for anyone to understand what is going on, particularly in different counties. Since counties bear most of the cost of criminal justice, it is essential for them to know which counties are performing well and which aren't performing well. This bill will codify more than 50 measures of data on cases and individuals to be collected uniformly across counties within the courts and within the Department of Corrections. This bill represents a huge positive step forward in transparency for criminal justice systems and agencies in Florida. In order to know which policies and strategies are functioning effectively, the state must have comprehensive, comparable data. This will allow for that to happen and for best practices to flourish. This is a big first step in Florida's journey towards reforming its system comprehensively, hopefully. In the past 10 years, 36 states have reformed parts of their system using the same data-driven, evidence-based approach. And those states in their process, including red states, obviously, like Texas, Georgia, and South Carolina, all of those 36 states have reduced their crime rates and their incarceration rates. And they've saved billions of taxpayer dollars in the process. This is all about being smart on crime and soft on taxpayers. And there's a lot that we could do, and it starts here with the data gathered by this legislation. And we're glad to do our part too. Working with Right on Crime, this past week, our seminar network announced a new initiative called Safe Streets and Second Chances. We hope that this is innovative and disruptive in the criminal justice system. It is designed to give people in prison a true second chance when they re-enter society, when they come back into society. And it's based on the notion that every individual should have a tailored plan for re-entry based on their specific needs. And it starts day one of incarceration, meaning the jail and prison is not the end of the line for people anymore. It's the beginning of a new life, a new opportunity if they want it. And we're proud to announce that Florida is one of our 4 pilot states. And it'll be happening at Florida State University. Incoming professor Dr. Carrie Pettis Davis, working with Florida State's Institute for Advancing Justice. We're going to be looking at everything possible based on the data you're going to collect here and other data we can get to make Florida a national leader in criminal justice. Open criminal justice data will be a huge step forward in transparency and in accountability in Florida. And better data will help protect public safety and ensure accountability. So again, thank you so much to Senator Brandis, Chairman Spowls, and Speaker Corcoran for taking this incredibly important first step in ensuring public safety and second chances in Florida. Thank you.
I'll be happy to take your questions. I just want to thank, again, the Judiciary Committee members behind us. It's a bipartisan group who've worked on this legislation. We're happy to have all of them here, Vice Chair Harrison and the members of the committee. We're also happy to hear folks like Right on Crime is here, in addition to Freedom Partners and Measures for Justice. Happy for you all to be here as well. And I really want to thank Speaker Corcoran and Chairman Oliva in particular, because really it was their leadership and vision that was driving us to come up with this work product. So I'm grateful to them, and with that, we'll take your questions. When you say when you say move far ahead, you're talking about in some of those reform policies. Look, I think reform policies, like any other good policy, you have to treat each of one of them individually. I think we know, and I've had long conversations with Senator Brandis about some of those proposals, and I think there's a lot of them that are ripe for us to move forward on. But do I think that data will help shape, as we move forward, what kind of mass reforms we need to have? Absolutely. Right now, we have very, very little information, even basic things like recidivism. What we have in the way of data is woefully insufficient. And in order to have a full picture of what the criminal justice system looks like and how we can improve it, we need as much information as possible. And right now, we don't have it. Yes, sir. Look, I think a lot of the bills you mentioned haven't made its way through the process yet. They are going through the committee process. They're going to be vetted. But look, there are going to be times where last year we passed a bill off the House floor that was criticized by some of our friends in the media because it protected some private information from victims of homicide cases. The idea from some folks was, well, that's less transparency. From our perspective, and it was filed by the ranking member in Judiciary, Cynthia Stafford. From our position, we were protecting victims of crimes, people who were witnesses. We wanted to protect their identity. So sometimes that's just a difference of opinion, Gary. So we're going to take those as they come. But what we are doing here, as you'll see on the chart above, is we have all of these entities. But we have all this information, but it's not accessible in a way that can help us or that can help transparency. Now it will be. Now it'll all be in one place. It'll be in one place in a timely fashion. It'll have common terms and common identifiers so that we can truly find out what's going on, not just speculate. That's right. That's right. Sure. That's a great question, and I enlisted the help of my colleague, Representative Grant, who's literally our in-house expert on all things related to data, and he probably does have an app. But what the bill will do is allow it to be functional in various different formats, right? So if there's one kind of format and you don't have the software that uses that, this might not be terribly helpful. So what we tried to do to cure that issue is make sure that it's available in all of the industry type formats so that whatever software Measures for Justice is using or Pew is using or other folks are using, they can pull down that information in a format that is easy and accessible to whoever the user is without any kind of licensing agreement at all. Virtually all questions we can be more informed by the data. But look, and most of the conversations that we have, think about crime, right? What do we care most about in crime? What's the recidivism rate, right? Who are the victims? The reality is that the data that we have, we don't know very much about the victims, and we don't know very much about the data. So this is going to help us achieve that. One more question. Sure. No, I understand. And sort of kind of the question you asked before, which is, do you have the data to move forward with some of the proposals? Look, some of those things you mentioned, for example, in civil citations, both adult and juvenile, we moved through the Judiciary Committee last year. So the answer to that would be no. I think we know enough about that system to move forward on that particular proposal. And there's a lot of different reforms that we can move forward on. But as we continue this conversation, and it'll continue well beyond this session and into the years to come, we need as much information as possible. I skipped this gentleman over here, so.
Say no. Florida is not ready for it. Your own governor told the president non-offshore. If it's not for offshore, you don't want that onshore. Mickey Mouse will not like this if it shows up in Disney property. When Mickey doesn't like it, nobody does. So, Speaker, we've been trying to get a meeting with you, or meet. Please speak with us and find out. 37-year master driller here that's going to speak with you.
All right.
So it's the same issue.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you for sharing with us. Appreciate it.
We really appreciate it if you give forward a chance.
Thank you.
Throw the bill on the floor and then we'll put it on the committee. The same on the Senate.
Appreciate it.
We can't wait anymore. 5 years of my time coming down here to educate you guys.
Thank you for being here, sir. Thank you. You bet. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it very much.